Madam, Modi ji 100% in this interview I am going to say, madam, he will not discriminate between a BJP government and a non-BJP government.
No, there is enough evidence to say that there has been discrimination.
Yes, of course, the fringe elements, sometimes they go beyond control. They get into all sorts of trouble, they bring a bad name, and UCC is becoming a reality. India cannot function without a common uniform formula.
Is that a freebie? It's a welfare measure? It's a populist scheme? How are you classifying?
It is a welfare measure. We are not classifying as a freebie because
that if you elect our government here and there, you will have advantages. So what about those states which don't have those governments?
The contractor made an allegation, madam. Next month he was arrested by the court and sent to jail and some other issue.
No, he was not arrested for anything like that. He was arrested because of a defamation complaint filed by the BJP MLA, Muniratna.
We never differentiated a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian. We just went by, all three came, we discussed, strength and weakness were analyzed. And tomorrow the Muslim brothers and sisters can be accommodated in other positions also.
On the election trail, joining the News Minute is BJP's co-in-charge for Karnataka, the Tamil Nadu BJP president, in fact, Annamalai. So the BJP manifesto is out. It looks like the party is almost, the core promises are going back to the BJP's core ideologies, which is Uniform Civil Code, National Registry of Citizens, and of course saying that temple devotees will be given the management of the administration. So is that a go back completely to the core ideals itself?
Madam, this manifesto is of two parts, madam. I'm sure you must have seen it carefully. The part B is about what we have done. The part B of the manifesto, which you have mentioned, last 3.5 years. The part B is more like a vision document, what we intend to do in the next 5 years. Uniform Civil Code is something that the party is talking for a pretty long time. In fact, the constitution itself is talking. So we believe the time has come, at least in Karnataka, that high-level consultative committee should look into it and then implementation should start.
But you have been in power since 2019, so why was it not done?
Ma'am, the whole idea of Uniform Civil Code, the reason we kept it in the directive principle of state policy itself is, till a public mood has come, till people debate, argue, discuss, 1950 was not the time for UCC. That is why we have put it in Article 44, not necessarily in the fundamental right or other places. So we believe Karnataka, the time has come. Enough discussion has happened and people feel comfortable. And people don't see it wrongly also. In case of the other minority communities also, they don't see it as wrongly. So that level of traction has come in the ground. That is why we believe 2023 election is the time.
But how legitimate is this promise in this vision document? Because it's central law. It cannot be amended just by a state. The state can make only few amendments. It's the same thing that you criticize the DMK of in Tamil Nadu about NEET, right? So it's just a vision that we'll have a consultative committee, not like the state can really change the law.
But across all over India, wherever BJP is ruling, especially in the mountain states in the northern part, other places, UCC is becoming a reality. Whatever the nitty-gritties is getting ironed out, I'm sure the state has got enough number of wherewithal in its hand to implement it properly. Though it is a central government law, it is not that the state can't do much. State can do, and some states have already started doing. Goa, for example. Goa has got special laws, which for Hindu, Muslim and Christian, for marriages, they have got some kind of a law for a long time, even when Congress was there in power. So, likewise in Karnataka, there are many things like inheritance, many things for family, marriages. You can start touching. Those are very easy things to do in the first place. Inheritance, property rights is a still problem. And a lot of women discrimination is happening within the community in many places. These are all easy pickings for you. So, time has come. So, it is not, yes, implementing something could take some time because you got to be in consonance with the Central Government Act. You got to be in that line. But as a start, you do it. And over a point of time, you can achieve what you really want to achieve.
Corruption has been a major part of the conversation during this election. You take the PSI scam, you take Contractors Association, which is normally apolitical. They came out with a very serious allegation of 40% commission. We have seen many land scams, even a MLA's son being caught with money. But strangely, there seems to be no way in which the BJP is addressing the problem of corruption.
Madam, the Lokaayukt of Karnataka, he was in a private channel meet in Bangalore. I was also sitting in the audience and listening to the Lokaayukta speech. He was telling, look, the problem across India, he mentioned across India is, people want to get public services much faster. The petty corruption across India, people want to driving license, drunken driving, they want to pay 500 rupees and escape. With respect to the institutional corruption, I'm sure both of us are talking about institutional corruption. Madam, you tell me, madam, when there is a Congress party, 3.5 years in opposition, when you say this government is corrupt, have you produced one document, one scam document, one allegation against a specific minister he has got ill-gotten gain? 40% Sarkar. The contractor made an allegation, madam. Next month, he was arrested by the court and sent to jail and some other issue.
No, he was not arrested for anything like that. He was arrested because of a defamation complaint filed by the BJP MLA, Muniratna. So,
But not connected to the 40% Sarkar.
it is very much. Muniratna put the case because they alleged that he was corrupt and there was a Lokayukta report against him. Therefore, Muniratna went to court, which is why the contractor was
Correct,
arrested.
madam.
Yes.
But he's mentioned 40% Sarkara, pay CM and all they run. Individually, we make an allegation, you got to substantiate it. And second, PSA scam. Who broke the PSA scam, madam? Our government, we found out the scam has happened.
No.
Then
It
we
was a
arrested
student.
the
It was a
concerned IPS
student.
officer.
But again, it was not just an IPS officer. I heard you say in your press meet also that it was an IPS officer who did the scam. It is not just the IPS officer.
PSI, some administrative
The
officers.
PSI scam was carried out in a specific coaching center in Kalaburgi, which was run by a BJP leader called Divya. She was supposed to be the kingpin along with IPS officers and others. So there was a BJP involvement in that too. She was arrested. I think she's out on
It could
bail in
be
that
instant,
case.
madam. One thing is, it could be instant. If a government has hidden something, we deliberately made sure for about 6 months to 1 year, we never allowed any scam to come out. PSI scam, it happened because society has got criminals at all levels.
Okay.
And we have taken the strictest of strict action. Taking PSA scam and affixing to the whole BJP cabinet to say in Karnataka,
No, not
this
doing
government
that.
is corrupt. That's not a very
Not
fair
doing that. We'll
point,
go back
madam.
to 40% commission itself because I've spoken to the Contractors Association many times. What is the proof that is expected to be brought when these bribes are in money, are given in cash, right? Everybody knows how to take bribe and how to give bribe. You are an IPS officer. You very well know that it is not possible for some of these people to give this proof, but they were pushed to the wall, which is why they came out and held this press meet. In fact, I've sat in their meeting when they are fighting with each other whether they should even hold this press meet. The other problem is, look at the reactions. Muniratna goes to court with defamation. There are multiple cases where Satish Reddy, the MLA from Bangalore, Ravi Subramanya from Bangalore, all of them have gone to court. Ashwath Narayana, very recently, the IT minister, he has gone to court. He has taken injunction, stay orders against media. So the
This I'll
BJP...
explain, madam. Explain. I'm getting the flow of your question.
Yeah.
For example, when there is an MLA who was raided by Lokayukta, and which we made sure that Lokayukta was given a free hand. We never destroyed ACB like the previous government, and especially the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah sir did. We gave a free hand to Lokayukta. It got a complaint. It went raided somebody. There is a process of law in action.
Correct.
Likewise, now people, while raiding this MLA, they all trust Lokayukta. Oh, Lokayukta has done a good job. Why can't you trust the Lokayukta for that also? Go and give a complaint. Lokayukta has got jurisdiction across the state. We are not stopping Lokayukta from not taking any action.
No, but I'm saying how the BJP reacts. For example, every time a corruption allegation comes, the first reaction is, this is not true, where is the proof? Something that you said now. And the second thing is to go to court, get stay orders, get injunction against the media, get injunction against the opposition.
Ma'am, that is a democratic process. For example, I made the similar allegation in Tamil Nadu. Maybe after 3-4 years down the line, when we sit down, the defamation cases and the court process, that is a time to finally talk about what has happened. I mentioned companies. I mentioned properties. I mentioned survey numbers to start with. Now it's a to and fro motion. They will say, no, it is wrong. I will say it is right. There is a process. You sit in a chair as some contract association president. You mention a number and say this has happened. Naturally, they will go after him. They will say, who are you to say? Have you released one document? Or in the tender process, did we favor this company which is connected to my family or connected to a party karyakarta? So these are all very deep, rotten issues, madam.
So how does the BJP want people to expose corruption? First thing, there's a fundamental difference between you taking on the DMK because you're a politician and you're taking on the DMK with whatever is the evidence that you say that you have. Here it is a party like a contractor association who is the one who's impacted by this corruption. That is not a politician. He is saying that, look, I don't want to give 40%. How will the BJP, which projects itself as a party against corruption, what are you telling people? Bring me proof, show me the money that you gave, only then I'll take action.
Go through the institutional mechanism.
Which is go to the Lokayukta.
Go through the Lokayukta. Give complaints. You are given 50 complaints to Lokayukta, not acting. Call for a press meet. Release the details of specific complaints. Put pressure on Lokayukta in a democratic system.
So the pressure is still on the complainant, nothing on the government.
Madam, you say, for example, you have to release some semblance of a proof. At least to have a debate. Then we can say it is wrong, it is right. Giving a number generally in a press meet and say this is happening against all ministers. Again, madam, in a government, madam, nobody can vouch for 100% of the government. One MLA, one MP, one minister, they always get into trouble because at the end of the day, they're human beings. Human beings are fallible. So the distinction I'm trying to make to your question is, there is a process, there is a system. If the contractor has released about 4 or 5 documents by saying this minister is favoring this company in this tender, I'll be the first person to have this debate with you to say, yes, it has happened.
Okay.
Now, vague allegation, how can I defend or how can I give some answer to it, madam?
So my last question to you in this is that, do you think the BJP could have or in the future should react a bit more differently when people come and allege corruption, saying that we look into it rather than shut off everything, saying that there's no proof or that we'll put a defamation case?
Every government should be open to the citizen, madam. Me being a Tamil Nadu leader is something different from when I sit in the government, it is different. Being in a government, you got to be open to everything. You can't just sidestep everything. And you got to have a very fair mechanism to listen to people's voices. I'm not saying, and any government which shut it down a democracy will have serious trouble in the long run. And any complaint that is coming, there should be an institutional way. Of course, you strengthen the police force, listen to every complaint and act it. And fourth but not the least, madam, keep the government visibly transparent. The best way against corruption is, not only should I say that I am non-corrupt, visibly also you should feel I am non-corrupt. So I hope and pray in a democracy with all the twists and turns in the long run, we reach there very soon.
What do you think is the main focus of the BJP's manifesto for which people should be voting for the party here?
It's a very forward-looking, development-oriented manifesto, madam. For example, the Bangalore capital region is getting expanded. The surrounding areas like what we call as NCR, which has got enough number of benefits outside Delhi. Likewise, the Bangalore capital region is getting expanded. That is first thing, great thing I see. And second, in the manufacturing sector, the 10 lakh jobs, because it is going to be a manufacturing economy. That's the second good thing I've seen in this. And third, the thrust on agriculture, the cold chain storages and everything that is going with respect to the agriculture is something which I felt is very good in the manifesto. And last but not the least, madam, with respect to the Atal food stalls that we are going to do across all wards in Karnataka is something which I felt is very good because people need it.
But we already have Indira canteens. How is this going to be different?
It is not very functional per se. The vision of the Indira canteen is restricted. Of course, it is in the state government's hand only. It is not available everywhere. But Atal, the government believes, at least the current government, the people who drafted the manifesto, the core group, they believe once we come back to power, the scope of what we do in Atal canteen, we can just expand it much more.
But how is this justified to a population in a state? For example, one government comes to power, Amma canteen, for example, in Tamil Nadu, Indira canteen here, and then the next government simply lets that policy die and then brings another promise, which is almost just a renaming of the Indira canteen, right? Why can't successive governments take over policies of the previous government and just let it be? You have almost killed the Indira canteen scheme where the subsidized food is not available to people. It has been shutting down progressively. And then why change the name of the scheme and bring back the same thing?
I see two parts to your question. Maybe one part I might not completely agree. It is not that we killed Indira canteen. And Indira canteen was started with a purpose, with a reason. And this government is never against Indira canteen. That is our publicly declared policy also. But the problem, you can't run canteens with respect to giving only idli, sambar or something. And we want it to be a slightly more qualitative food also.
So this will be different?
This will be very different. Because I was part of the discussion, deliberation that was happening in the last few days also. And the core committee believes the concept of canteen itself can be changed. And people just don't want on idli or sambar, 5 rupee, 10 rupee. Some people who can't afford should come and eat. And we can give very qualitative food, which is very nutritious, a cereal-based food. And this will be a complete qualitative change over Indira canteen, that I can promise you, madam.
Two of the other big promises are 3 free LPG cylinders annually to people and half liter to BPL families and half liter Nandini milk. So during the press conference, JP Nadda, the president, said that we differentiate between freebies and welfare measures. But all the criticism which the BJP has had, even the Supreme Court, what the government has said, this Revdi culture, it's almost the same thing, right? So why is the BJP so against welfare schemes when your own manifesto is giving welfare to people?
I was watching the press conference which our Honorable National President Nadda ji spoke, madam. And with respect to the BPL family, and in the discussion also they have mentioned, surveys after surveys, especially the NSSO surveys, it completely talks about them not having a very nutritious intake of meals. And we believe it is a government duty to help them to take nutritious meal. And milk is a start. Likewise, if you see it, madam, for the BPL family, not only milk, we have added 5 kg of cereals, which is not in vogue now. Cereals are not in vogue. And we believe the quality food it should go, it increases the nutritious level. Once the nutritious level goes up, a lot of adding factors will keep coming along with their life. So this is something which we fundamentally wanted to do, giving milk and adding the cereals to the BPL family.
LPG cylinders also, 3 cylinders.
And
free.
LPG cylinder, madam, you have to understand, there are some things which is not in our country's hand. For example, the factors of production are in our hand, and which I will not essentially classify as a freebie. And Honorable Prime Minister in the last budget.
What do you classify it as?
I'm just coming, madam. Last central budget, we have given 200 rupees subsidy to LPG cylinders that was taken in the PM's name.
Ujjwala
from 2014 Ujjwala scheme, we have given 200 rupees. The whole idea of doing it, this is to insulate them from the international price that is happening. Because you can't control the factors of production. It is happening something outside the country. So again here LPG, what the state government is doing, one more over it is, with respect to BPL family, many of the things come under the Ujjwala scheme also. Many things gets covered. And the international market is something that is beyond your control, despite you doing the best thing. That is why the 3 LPG cylinders, during the festival time, it is expected they use more LPG.
So my question is that a freebie? It's a welfare measure? It's a populist scheme? How are you classifying?
It is a welfare measure. We are not classifying as a freebie, because the moment you come to a position when the international prices are below $60, or you manufacture within the country, or there is a factor of production within the country, you need not insulate them. This is the population feel that we should get insulated them as a government. That is what we are doing.
So I come back to the fundamental question. You are saying it's a welfare measure, right? You don't want to use the word freebie. A welfare measure can be for a targeted population. It can be for the entire population. Now, when the BJP in its manifesto, not just in Karnataka and other states too, does promise welfare measures, why does it oppose when other governments do it, other state governments do it?
Can you just give me an example?
For example, let's say how the rice distribution works in Tamil Nadu, or let's say the mixie grinder. So many other promises, right? What the promises Aam Aadmi Party makes, or DMK makes, or YSRCP makes. In many times, you have said that these are just freebies, and political parties should not be allowed to make these promises. In fact, the Prime Minister has called it the Revadi culture, right? So what is the difference?
I will just explain, since you took an example from Tamil Nadu, madam. If you look at the DMK's election manifesto 2021, they said when we come back to power, every single woman, we will give 2,000 per ration card. We said it's a freebie. And why do you want to give 2,000 for everybody? What is the logic? In the last budget, our finance minister said, we will give 2,000 rupees to certain women, which we will find. Now they are trying to classify it to say that who is where, who is not. So this is the problem with the main governments. If you look at, we mentioned BPL family, we are giving this as a nutritious aid to them, which we are supposed to give, which we are giving. And everything you see, we have a certain segment is targeted, not because we need to target them for votes, because either in the social economic ladder, they are behind. For example, SC/ST population. We said for every woman, up to 10,000 rupees, if you make a fixed deposit for 5 years, we will do a matching deposit. It is there in our this thing also. Because we believe a culture of saving should start coming in, because it gives an impetus to the woman of that SC/ST household, because she is in control of the finances.
So you don't disagree with other political parties who do give some sort of welfare measures? You don't think everything is a freebie?
Yes, madam. You give a welfare measure that is either meant to uplift somebody on a nutrition scale or in the social ladder scale. Nobody has got a problem. And second, the Prime Minister many months back, he spoke about when the Sri Lankan economic crisis was happening, he mentioned, when the state's finances are not in your control, when the state finances are not in Tamil Nadu, 7 lakh crore plus debt. I think Karnataka is also 4.5 lakh crore plus debt. I don't know, maybe 4.5 lakh to 5 lakh crore debt. And when you add 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 crore straight away to your budget, what happens is it cancels out all the capital investment. Road, schools will take a hit. The Prime Minister, when he spoke about Revadi culture, he spoke very elaborately, madam. He never mentioned Revadi and he went out. He said, look, it crowds out all the capital investment you are supposed to do. That is why in our manifesto, very clear, whatever we do, it should aid the society in progressing forward. Don't just throw anything just for the sake of votes.
So different parties can have different ways in which they deal with this. For example, I read an interview of the Tamil Nadu finance minister where he said that we believe in non-targeting some of the schemes, because if you target, certain people can be left out, right? Anyway, I want to move on to the next question. One of the biggest promises which the Prime Minister, Amit Shah, everybody seems to be repeating is double-engine Sarkar. What is this double-engine Sarkar? Is it the union
Madam,
government?
I will take about 2 examples again, madam. Since I think News Minute is very popular in the southern part of India, you have audiences across different parts of India mainly, especially in the southern part. I will take examples so that people can relate to it. If you take the petrol and diesel price in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, madam, there is BJP government, central BJP government. There is DMK government, central BJP government. You just cross 30 kilometers from here into Hosur, there is a difference of 10 rupee. When the central government reduced it, the DMK government, they said that we are not reducing. So this is one example of government in sync with what central government is thinking, the state government. So you might classify, no, reducing petrol, I will not agree, this is a double engine Sarkar. I'll take a Jal Jeevan mission as an example, madam. 2019, August 15, PM said, by December 31, 2024, we will cover all households with that piped water. Karnataka had 16%, Tamil Nadu had 19%, 2019 data. Because I'm talking this in the stages now. So Karnataka is at 66%, Tamil Nadu is still at 50. That too we did protest. We say accelerate the Jal Jeevan, you are not doing it, the state government is not acting. Like this I can give many examples when the central government has got the overwhelming vision. For example, the PIL, production linked incentive. And our manifesto, we are given an emphasis for PLI. I don't think anybody will give because people say PLI, production linked incentive, straight away it is Modi ji. Let him take credit, why should I do? In our manifesto, we said, look, PIL, we are giving more than what Modi ji is giving. These are all examples I can say, madam, when the vision of both governments are together. And when the government is committed to implement the central government's program, then it accelerates the progress and the growth. That is what we mean by double engine Sarkar.
Okay, since you mentioned Jal Jeevan scheme, now every bureaucrat you speak to, they'll say yes, there is one advantage if you have the same government in the center and the state is that the central governments, the union government schemes get implemented better, like the Jal Jeevan. But look at the 15th Finance Commission. Karnataka has not gained much because of it. And what is the political message that your party is sending? That if you elect our government here and there, you will have advantages. So what about those states which don't have those governments? You see Mamata Banerjee, you see Pinarayi Vijayan, you see every other chief minister complaining that they are not getting the funds that they are supposed to get. So what is the political message here? That India has to elect BJP at state level and union level?
I will take a little bit time to explain this question better, madam, because people, they shouldn't get misunderstood by just the flow of the question. If you look at the Finance Commission devolution, 13th, 14th and 15th, all parameters, not even a single state government with data can say that after BJP has come to center, our state is discriminated, we are getting less. It's a common pool. There is a formula calculated, approved by the President of India, the Finance Commission, and then that is being implemented.
Yes, correct.
So we are not, but Mamata Banerjee, very specifically, I'll take Mamata Madam as an example. When the whole of India PM Kisan is there, West Bengal is the only state PM Kisan is not implemented. We have more than 19 crore farmers who are eligible. To Karnataka, 54 lakh farmers. Don't you think that is wrong, madam? Only because she says it is done by Modi ji, who is just paying money at the click of a button, I am not doing it. Madam, Modi ji, 100% in this interview I am going to say, madam, he will not discriminate between a BJP government and a non-BJP government.
No, there is enough evidence to say that there has been discrimination. If you look at the flood relief fund, like I said, what is the political message that is going? That you have to elect a state government which is also BJP, otherwise the central government may not be as benevolent as it is to a BJP government?
I can very categorically tell you, madam, our government did not discriminate anybody with respect to giving flood relief fund or giving the devolution money, because everything goes through a process.
That has been Kerala's biggest problem, that the fund relief that they got, the flood relief, was much lesser than, let's say.
In Tamil Nadu, we mentioned it, madam. You give a very inflated bill. The problem is when the parties are not of BJP, they simply ask, give me 2 lakh crore.
So even, I don't know if you know, but B.S. Yediyurappa, when he was chief minister, on the stage when the prime minister was there, he said that we are not getting enough flood relief.
It is natural, madam. If tomorrow, let us imagine you are the chief minister of a state, it is natural you ask for an inflated fund. But the state government goes through a formula. Tamil Nadu, I will give you a formula also. NDRF, there is a formula, madam. For every house loss, this is the money. Every buffalo loss, this is the money. Every crop per acre loss, this is the money. When we had a fight with DMK, when the finance minister said, I am not getting flood relief money, we said, look, this is the NDRF formula. You tell us, money will come only based on this formula. If you have lost more buffaloes, we will get you money.
So you are saying all these states are inflating their...
100%, madam. 100%, madam. Because it's a formula-based approach.
Okay.
And that's why the state immediately first puts a team. And that fellow will support a report to CM and say 50,000 crore. Then the central comes and goes back. And without a formula, you cannot work, madam, because India cannot function without a common uniform formula.
I'm sure the states will vehemently oppose that.
I can assure you on the flood relief fund, madam, because I've done enough study on this for Tamil Nadu. It's, ma'am, vessel lost, there is a money fixed. Cattle lost, money fixed. Acreage lost, palm tree fell down, money fixed. So how can Modi ji or Amit Shah ji or some senior leader sitting in Delhi, how can they differentiate between a floods in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, madam?
But they are, which is very evident from. Anyway, now let's move on to the next topic because you also have limited time. The communalism which we have seen in the last 4 years. Now, as a journalist who's been covering this, one thing that we have noticed, that all of us have noticed, that there are these fringe groups. For example, the anti-conversion law which the BJP brought in. First, there are attacks, small attacks on pastors, on church meetings, etc. Then the Bajrang Dal and the likes of them come and give a draft bill to the government, and soon the government goes ahead and makes a bill, right? So, is this how the BJP has really worked? Using fringe groups to push a communalist, a communal
I fundamentally
narrative?
believe, madam, the test for a majority government is how well we treat our minorities in our country, especially in our state. I think that is a test for a majority government.
And do you think that the BJP
Majority
government in
I'll
Karnataka
answer
will
this
pass
question.
that
I'll
test?
answer this question, madam. And here, if you look at our ministers, the Chief Minister Bommai ji, Yediyurappa ji, and everybody, I can only take leaders' name and debate and discuss, madam. So BJP as a party, 100%, we are against this fringe elements taking law into their own hands. I don't subscribe to that view. And last but not the least, yes, of course, the fringe elements, sometimes they go beyond control. They get into all sorts of trouble. They bring a bad name. And problem is, some of the media friends ascribe their action to BJP party. That is
But
something.
there is proof that, like I explained to you, first the churches are attacked, then there is a draft bill made, which becomes the anti-conversion law. So there is a direct correlation between what the fringe groups do and finally what the BJP pushes as the law.
I think it is not fair. In Tamil, we have this proverb, when a crow went and sit on a tree, the fruit fell down. The tree said, no, I am supposed to leave the fruit at this point of time. The crow said, since I sat, the fruit fell down. My grandma used to tell me the story. So, with all due humility, you are a senior journalist. I am not debating with you. You have an alternate point of view. You have seen the ground. You have traveled much. So, I am not here to connect A to B to C. A is something independent. The law has to take its action. And especially anybody who touches the minority community, I personally believe, madam, this is my personal belief also, they don't have any place in our society. And B, the government acting on something. Jayalalitha madam did it in 2002. Tamil Nadu, the anti-conversion law, we brought it. 3, the government brought it. So A did it, B did it, C did it. This is something.
But your law is
not the
very
natural
different
course
from
of
what
action.
Tamil Nadu did or Gujarat did. Your law is way more stricter. In fact, the court has struck down the Gujarat law. Some elements of it is unconstitutional. That has been brought here. Now, forget the anti-conversion law. In the manifesto release, there is one line saying that we'll regularize temple fests and what happens in temple markets. Is that just a jargon for saying that Muslims will not be allowed in temple fests? Because that is what has been happening. And your minister has said this in the floor of the assembly.
I personally believe, madam, again, this is something which BJP also, since I am a part of many meetings, I listen to a lot of people who speak the core ideology, and we are the last party to discriminate somebody on the basis of religion when they are outside the fest. For example, fruits market. When we go to many temples, madam, it is natural because of the ecosystem and the connection. Many of my Muslim friends, they dominate the fruit market, which we see. It's perfectly okay because they have an ecosystem. And their relatives are there, they buy food at a cheaper price. They're able to, it's a competitive economy. Somebody is giving apple at 50, somebody is giving an apple at 30. People are not going to see the religion. People are going to see who is going to give me lesser at a cheaper price. And if any fringe element that is trying to do this, I think it is unfortunate.
But this is not a fringe, this is a BJP
what we have
government.
mentioned in that thing is, with respect to regularization doesn't mean that we are going to regularize everything. Many of these things come at the last minute. Somebody wants to sell a toy. Somebody wants to sell a fruit. These are all not part of the regularization. We don't mean it. What essentially they meant in that manifesto, that Jatra happens at the ground level. And there are, of course, everything goes to a tender, madam. It is not something you can fix. A will do every year for every year. You can't do it because it is against the law, court of the law. Especially for that Jatra, what you see, the wheel and merry-go-round and everything. A Muslim guy or a Hindu guy or a Christian guy, tomorrow he comes. It's a fair process. They bid before the subdivisional magistrate, government temple. They should get it. And in the manifesto, you can't say that I'm going to do it because they'll go to the court and struck it down. What essentially we meant is the process that happens at part of every year temple, we will regularize it, not the fruits or toys or something.
Okay. So you said that we are never discriminating against anyone, right? In the 224 people who are contesting across Karnataka, BJP did not find a single Muslim candidate?
Some of the names came for discussion, madam. They were part of the discussion because we went through a long process of taking 3-4 names every constituency, Shakti Kendra. It's a 7-layer we went. It is not that names did not come. But we looked at every single factor, winnability, And many Muslim people are senior leaders in BJP also. They have also applied for tickets. The final criteria became winnability, madam. Who will win this seat? We treated all Karyakartas as same. While giving ticket, we never saw him as Hindu or a Muslim.
43 people related to BJP leaders have got seat out of 224. So they had winnability, but not even a single Muslim candidate.
No, madam. In this case, we never differentiated. We never differentiated a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian. We just went by all three came, we discussed, strength and weakness were analyzed. And tomorrow the Muslim brothers and sisters can be accommodated in other positions also, organization responsibility, there is an MLC. But I can honestly tell, their Muslim community keep them away, their Christian community keep them away. That was not the intention. And in other states, Muslim brothers and sisters are contesting as BJP candidates, they are winning, Rajya Sabha MPs are there. So it is not a policy.
That is a very small number that you're talking about.
But numbers are there, madam. But it
Which
is
is
not
what,
a policy.
1, 2, like that.
It is not a policy. I hope to see in the future also, when enough number of Muslims and brothers who are in the party, they grow up within the ranks, they reach that level where there is an ideal aspiration for them to contest, and the party will consider.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
Annamalai,
madam.
for speaking to the News Minute.
Thank you, madam.